Today, we're diving into a major development that's sending shockwaves across the Middle East. Reports are flooding in that around 65,000 Israelis have fled their homes after a massive rocket barrage from H4MAS struck the port city of Ashdod. This latest escalation has once again raised fears of a wider regional conflict and left the world on edge. The attack on Ashdod, one of Israel's most important southern ports, has caused widespread panic and disruption. Witnesses describe a terrifying night sky lit up with trails of rockets, sirens blaring non-stop, and explosions echoing across the coastline. Israeli emergency services have been working around the clock to respond to fires, damaged infrastructure, and injuries as civilians scrambled for safety. Authorities say dozens of rockets were launched in rapid succession, overwhelming the Iron Dome defense system. While some were intercepted, several managed to hit near key logistical facilities, causing damage to warehouses and port operations. Videos circulating online show containers engulfed in flames and black smoke billowing from the area, with emergency teams struggling to contain the chaos. The Israeli government immediately ordered the evacuation of parts of Ashdod and nearby neighborhoods, as fears grew that more attacks could follow. Temporary shelters were set up in central and northern Israel for those displaced, but the sudden movement of tens of thousands of people has created logistical nightmares. Long lines of vehicles jammed highways as families tried to flee, carrying what little they could. For many residents, this attack is a nightmare come true. Ashdod has always been seen as a key strategic hub, vital to Israel's trade and energy supply. The city's port handles a large percentage of the country's imports, making it a potential target in any military escalation. By striking there, H4MAS has sent a clear message that no city, no matter how important, is beyond reach. Israeli military officials confirmed that the rocket barrage came from within Gaza and described it as one of the most intense attacks in months. The Israel Defense Forces responded almost immediately, launching airstrikes aimed at what they described as militant command centers, rocket launch sites, and weapons storage facilities. Overnight, the skies over Gaza were filled with the sound of drones and fighter jets as explosions rocked multiple areas. Meanwhile, political tensions in Israel have been boiling over. Critics are questioning how the militants were able to carry out such a massive strike, despite the country's advanced intelligence and defense systems. Some are demanding accountability from the leadership, while others are calling for a stronger military response. The government has vowed to take decisive action, but many fear that such retaliation could lead to an even bloodier confrontation. International reactions have been swift. The United States and several European nations have condemned the rocket attacks and expressed support for Israel's right to defend itself. However, they also called for restraint, urging both sides to avoid actions that could spiral into a full-scale war. In contrast, groups sympathetic to the Palestinian cause have praised the strike as retaliation for ongoing Israeli operations in Gaza. The humanitarian situation in Gaza is once again deteriorating rapidly. With Israeli airstrikes targeting multiple locations, reports of civilian casualties are rising. Hospitals, already struggling with shortages, are overwhelmed by the influx of wounded. The cycle of violence continues to take a devastating toll on ordinary people on both sides of the border. In Israel, fear and uncertainty are spreading fast. Cities far from the front lines have been put on high alert, and citizens have been urged to stay near shelters. Schools in southern Israel remain closed, and public gatherings have been restricted. The psychological impact on families, especially children, is profound. Many say they haven't slept in days, constantly worried that another barrage could begin at any moment. Economically, the strike on Ashdod could have far-reaching consequences. As one of Israel's busiest ports, even a temporary shutdown disrupts supply chains, delays imports, and affects industries across the nation. Fuel shipments have been redirected, and businesses dependent on maritime trade are reporting losses. The Israeli government is scrambling to restore operations, but experts warn that continued instability could deal a serious blow to the economy. Analysts say the attack marks a significant shift in H4MAS strategy. Instead of focusing solely on short-range rocket fire, they're now targeting Hive-Al-U infrastructure designed to pressure Israel politically and economically. This approach increases both the risks and the stakes, as any hit on energy facilities, ports, or airports could have national-level consequences. Many are also questioning whether this escalation is linked to recent developments in the region. Tensions have been simmering after multiple incidents involving Israeli forces and militant groups in Gaza and the West Bank. There are also reports of new alliances forming between different resistance factions, sharing intelligence and weapon technology. The timing of this strike may not be coincidental. It could be a coordinated move to test Israel's resilience. On the streets of Ashdod, the aftermath is visible everywhere. Shattered glass litters the sidewalks, vehicles are burned out, and families are picking through the remains of their homes. Emergency crews continue to work tirelessly, but the emotional scars will last far longer than the physical damage. Volunteers from across the country have arrived to provide food, shelter, and medical aid to those displaced. In interviews, residents describe feelings of disbelief and anger. Many say they never imagined their city would become a front line in such a way. Parents are struggling to comfort their children, while older generations recall the fear of past wars. Yet, amid the fear, there's also resilience. Israelis are known for coming together in times of crisis, and once again, communities are showing remarkable unity in the face of adversity. As the dust settles, questions loom large about what comes next. Will Israel launch a major ground operation in Gaza? Will diplomatic efforts succeed in de-escalating the situation before it spirals further? For now, the government is keeping its military plans under wraps, but officials have hinted that a strong response is inevitable. Regional powers are watching closely. Egypt and Qatar have reportedly been in contact with both sides, trying to broker a temporary ceasefire. The United Nations has also called for an emergency meeting to discuss the situation, emphasizing the need to protect civilians and prevent further escalation. But history has shown that such calls often fall on deaf ears when emotions run high and revenge becomes the driving force. What makes this situation particularly alarming is the speed at which it unfolded. Within just a few hours, tens of thousands of people were forced to flee. Entire neighborhoods were evacuated, and a key port was paralyzed. The event serves as a stark reminder of how quickly conflict can erupt and how fragile peace remains in this volatile region. For now, both Israel and H4MAS appear locked into a dangerous cycle of action and retaliation. Each attack prompts another, and each response fuels further hatred and destruction. Civilians, as always, bear the brunt of the suffering. As the international community watches with growing concern, many are asking whether there is still room for diplomacy, or if both sides have already crossed a point of no return. This latest escalation underscores just how unstable the region has become. The attack on Ashdod was not just a military strike. It was a statement of defiance, a calculated move to shake Israel's sense of security and test its limits. Whether it succeeds in that goal or backfires spectacularly will depend on the decisions made in the coming days. As we continue to follow this developing story, one thing is certain: the people caught in the middle, families, workers, children, are the ones paying the highest price. They are the ones who will rebuild, who will mourn, and who will live with the memories of yet another night of fear. We'll keep watching as more information comes in, and we'll bring you the latest updates on how Israel responds and whether this crisis can be contained. For now, the world is holding its breath, hoping that reason will prevail before things spiral out of control. If you found this breakdown informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more detailed coverage on global conflicts and current events. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next update.